So now that the Asbury revival is seemingly over, it's leaving a lot of people with the question, what now? What's next? Thousands of people from all over the world flocked to this one place in Kentucky, worshipped and proclaimed the name of Jesus. But now what? If you're anything like me and have experienced the evangelical waves called revival over the years, you know that this is a pretty typical feeling. In a lot of ways, I think we can compare revival to Christian summer camp syndrome. We send our teenagers off to a camp away from their parents for a week or so at a time. They have these really emotional high moments with the gospel. They're with their friends, and they're outside of their normal scope of life. They have these fire moments, and then they go back home, and within a week or so, it's almost like nothing happened. Now, I don't want to downplay someone's individual experience with the gospel because that can vary a ton. And I'm not even talking about salvation. I'm talking about long-lasting effects that come through our Christian experience. And just like these evangelical waves of revival we get, we see tons of hype, adoration, people singing, people are on fire for the gospel. But once the hype of the revival or the summer camp wears off, my question is, then what? Now, I think a lot of people would look at the summer camp syndrome and say, well, they're just teenagers, they're not spiritually mature enough to actually be able to apply this to their lives once they leave the camp, but we're planting good seeds. And while there may be some truth to that, my question is, why is it that after the revivals happen here in the United States, we get almost the exact same results? From an outsider's perspective, our American Christianity probably looks like a roller coaster ride. High ups, downs, but no long-lasting impact. This is why I stopped chasing the idea and the phrase revival a long time ago. Once again, it's not that it can't impact people on an individual scale, but it seems to have almost no effect on the grand Christian community on a long-term basis. So on my personal journey, what I've done is I've replaced the idea or concept of revival with the idea and concept of Reformation. See, revival is typically chasing a feeling or a move of God or the Spirit. And while that's not really my cup of tea, I can't really down others for looking for that, especially if you were raised in a denomination that puts our emotional response to God at the highest level. What Reformation does, opposed to revival, is it seeks to find concrete answers to issues that live inside of Christianity. If you need further evidence, just go study up about Martin Luther and the Protestant Reformation. It's the reason why we're all not Catholics today. Martin Luther identified almost 100 issues with the church and then sought to make change. So why is the idea of Reformation in this country not highly sought after? There's a few reasons. The first, Reformation is messy. It typically involves us tearing down structures and systems that seek to control, manipulate, and oppress people. In a landscape of watered-down Christianity, most Christians probably just don't want the headache of Reformation. The second, and I think more importantly, is that the systems that need reform proactively push against it the most. A lot of the Christian American systems we have in place today thrive off of being untouched. They have control, they make money, and for the most part, they shape our theology and tell us what God is saying, not unlike the Catholic Church over 500 years ago. But it's more subtle now. They don't rule with an iron fist. Instead, they manipulate us to trust them that they are truly speaking for God. Now, I know this is opening a huge can of worms, and there's about 1,000 ways where we could apply this to individual situations. And we'll definitely go over some of those things in later videos. But we have to ask ourselves, in the American evangelical world, are we going to continue to chase the roller coaster that is revival after revival after revival with no long-term impacts? Or should the idea of reformation of the systems we've built here be our prime focus? I keep hearing the American Christian world saying we need change, we need change, we need change, but historically speaking, revival has never brought the change that the Christian church has been looking for. It's always come through Reformation.